Hey everybody, Mherex here. I'm proud to be bringing you episode 3 of the longest weekly running episodic WWE Champions podcast, D.I.Cable Guy. As always, this podcast is brought to you by TWO, the inventors of the tag match. Also, at this week's wrestling event, they have Bogo Poutine. So welcome to the show, everyone. We got a great show on tap for you this week. We're going to cover the stuff that happened in the game this week. We're going to preview some stuff happening next week. We're going to field some questions from our listeners. And then we're going to talk about the Warrior event and his card and what we think about it. And we're going to wrap it up with some showboat discussion. This week's guest is Dr. Ultimate. I don't know a lot about this character. He hails from parts unknown, has a roster of unknown size. I'm not entirely sure he even plays the game, to be perfectly honest. I'll be frank with you guys. I needed a new co-host this week, and no one else wanted to do it. So I guess with that being said, welcome to the show, Dr. Ultimate.
Wow, that was a lot to take in. So a couple things. One, this Dr. Ultimate guy looks and sounds a lot like Dr. Skeletor. It feels like you just put Dr. Skeletor in some armor and changed his name.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Two, I'm very honored to be here. I didn't know that you had gotten to such a lofty status as being the longest weekly running episodic WWE Champions podcast. That's amazing. I mean, congratulations to you for that.
Oh, thank you. It wouldn't have been possible without TWO.
Speaking of TWO, I'm really happy that in these, uncertain times where we can't really have live events, that they're still able to fall back on their poutine revenue. I mean, good for them. It'd be a shame to lose out on TWO.
It really would, but that poutine is delicious. I think it's good that they have diversified and branched out so that they have other options.
Yeah, it's just a good business model.
It really is.
So, what would you like to talk about first, sir?
I think let's start out with stuff that happened this past week in the game. I think the Blitz was going on. I think there was a Blitz. I did a bunch of blitzes with some. I think I had to use this blue Avatar Cena guy that like has awesome animations where he jumps through the ceiling, and it cost a bunch of blitz tickets. It was not as cheap as I would have liked. I had to use a bunch of them to do my part for the faction. Speaking of blitz though, can we just put the question on everyone's mind to rest? Do you actually play this game?
Yes. Do I need more, or is that enough?
No, that's fine. I mean, the fact that you play is enough. You're clearly an expert. Carry on.
Glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. So, Blitz. What were your thoughts on this first Blitz?
Similar to you, I mean, it costs too much. I know there's always a big focus on that first blitz because you gotta start out strong, and there's a lot of points to be had, and people feel that they can't really do it until you get the character to 2 stars so that you can do the hard one at least. Personally, I just buy the starter pack because I don't feel like dealing with that. And then I do the hard. And then, even though the harder one was a little bit more beneficial in terms of key to ticket ratio, just to save time, after I got the guy to 3 star, I just did a couple of the hell ones just to get to where I needed to be faster. So yeah, it's unfortunate because I mean, blitzes they're doing a lot of blitzes, and it's getting hard to recover those tickets, especially when to do a 1% to do your share, you basically end up having to use all of the tickets that you've managed to get back. So people were broke going into it, tried to recoup, and now they're probably broke again.
Yeah, I think that's fairly accurate. The first blitz seems to be the most expensive one each month. It's also the one that gives out the shards. So for the chase guy in this new model, so you really don't have a choice, but you have to go for it. I was able to get his 3-star fuse much earlier. I did get 20 shards from the keys, but I still would have got his 3-star fuse during the blitz. Or not, I'm sorry, not his 3-star, his 2-star gold fuse. That was not the case with Typhoon. Typhoon, I was not able to get that fuse ahead of the blitz ending, so I do feel like, and from people I've talked to, Cena was a little bit easier to get the 2-star fuse, so that was great. Our hard mode is obviously much preferential to normal. I, like you, also bought the starter pack. Actually, I bought both the $19.99 and the $9.99 strictly for the Blitz tickets, because otherwise I would have had to already burn through a bunch of the ones on the prize wall, and I got a feeling I'm going to need those the rest of the month. But really good rewards, and if your faction finished all of them, it helped get you jump started for Acro Triple H, who looks amazing, and I hope I get. How about you? Do you have Acro Triple H, or are you planning on trying to get him or anything like that?
Yeah, I have him already.
What? How? Wait.
Well, you said he looks pretty good. I agree with you. So like I went back and took a look at kind of like his moves and his builds and what potentially could be done with him. It looks like, especially in like a feud setting where you have MP perks, you could literally blow up the entire board turn one, and that seems pretty good. So I went ahead and grabbed them.
I mean, that's all accurate, but how do you have him already? I mean, I'm planning on it taking the whole month to get him. What did you do to get him? Did you like get him in loot? Did you buy him? What happened?
There was a button. I pressed the button and some stuff happened, and then there he was. I mean, did you not press the button?
I clearly didn't see that button.
Yeah. It was, see, what they did was they tried to lure you in with the strap button. So you probably pressed the skip turn strap button, didn't you?
I did. I got
Yeah, see,
this. Yeah.
that's how they get you. They do the woo, look over here, and then you press the button, and then the other button disappears, and then you have no idea what you missed.
Okay. Well, that's disappointing for me and awesome for you. Congratulations, I guess, on winning the month long already.
Yeah, I mean, it felt good.
All right. Well, moving on. Triumph tours. Love them, hate them. They seem to be here to stay. I happen to love them. One node that I have to beat is a lot better than a bunch of them when I have an underleveled guy. So I think it's pretty important to get them done, and because they're such huge chunks of ingots. And this week we had Andre, Dolph, and Piper. Pretty much everyone had Andre and Dolph. They're pretty much guaranteed you're going to have them on your roster, so that was really cool. Piper, not so much. Was there another one? Was there 4? I can't remember. Anyway, there might have been 4. But I was able to do hell on all of them. Dolph definitely required a bunch of props and a cash kick out. Andre was pretty easy. How'd you do? What do you think about the Triumph Tours?
Yeah, the Triumph tours are great, assuming you have the character. Like you said, if you don't have the character, then it's just like, oh, I guess I can't do that. Um, with with that, I think it really, a lot of people aren't going to have the required characters leveled up. Some of them maybe like Dolph, you have them at 5K, so they're usable, but not someone exactly that you're going to be able to, do hell with easily. And then some guys you may not have leveled up at all. So that's where someone like Shango is going to be real important, because even you could have a level 1 person, but if his moves are leveled and you have Shango, you probably can do easy, and maybe even hard with that. So probably not going to get through hell with a level 1 character, but level 1 with Shango, you can do some stuff.
You're talking about Papa Shango, the legend striker, who, if you have him 9K, adds 50,000 hit points. If you're listening and don't know that,
Correct, for his coaching ability or trainer ability, the one
yeah,
that gives you.
yeah, right. That's an important button to have.
Yeah, more health is always a good button when you don't have a lot of health.
Absolutely. Well, also, as long as we're talking about Triumph tours, next week, short little preview for you guys. Next week, it's gonna be Lex Luger to start. Big John Studd, Kane Big Red Machine, and it's gonna be rounded out with Vader.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! What kind of machine?
Big Red Machine.
He sounds delicious.
I mean, he is. Wait.
Carry on, sir.
Okay. So Big Red Machine and Vader. Look for a preview of all those guys. Hopefully the day of their tours going live on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna run them or talk about builds for them at the 3-star level. So if you don't have your guys leveled up, like a lot of us don't, watch for that. You know, if you already got them 4-star and you know how to play them, this video is not going to be for you. Those videos aren't. So, but those are the guys coming up. So
You should still click on the video though.
oh yeah. Just click and like, and then leave it sit there and walk away or something. That would be great. So Showdown, it's just wrapping up now as we're recording this. Did you do the Showdown thing? Did you get coins for it and battle and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I think in the showdown they were offering a new Ultimate Warrior,
Yes.
which I I did a similar exercise. I looked at it. I looked at his moves. I ran some numbers, and it also appears you can blow up the whole board pretty quickly. So I went ahead and grabbed that guy too.
Oh, nice. I know we're going to get into some warrior talk later, so I won't go too in depth into it now, but I also click that button.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's going to be really good.
I think so too. He's seems fun to use, and his move animations are super cool. Did you max both days?
Yes, I had to max both days because I was missing Godfather and some other guy. Who's the other guy? Ah, Hacksaw.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they haven't run those buttons lately. I haven't seen them.
I had the hacksaw button, but definitely not the Godfather one.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
hacksaw
they
button.
had that under ads sometimes.
Yeah, hacksaw button was in the Showdown store actually. You only needed to have a certain amount of Showdown coins, and then you could click that button.
Yeah, see when the button is random like that, it almost seems unfair. But I'm glad you have it.
Yeah.
It turned out all right. I mean, I still was able to get Warrior. So
Right on. So what did you think this Showdown? Did you start early, start late, easier than ones, harder than ones recently for you? Did you face a lot of 4-stars? What was the deal?
I actually listened to one of your other. I don't remember. I think it was one of your other podcasts where you mentioned that some people say that if you start late, um, they find that it's a little bit easier. So I had been starting right away, um, with the thought of, oh, let me spend as much time as possible, and that way that'll give me longer to make sure I have time to do all of it. So, but I tried what you were saying. I was like, well, let me see how this goes, and it actually works out pretty well. Like you start off, and because a lot of other people have already started, there's a lot of people that you can beat on the way to getting those max coins. And depending how late you start, I mean, you could even completely avoid fighting Booker T's. So I think the whole time I only fought one Booker T, and he was 3-star silver. I mean, I saw other ones, but I just chose not to fight them. So yeah, actually, per your recommendations, I tried out starting out later, and I actually really liked it. It worked out well for me.
Right on. Yeah, I started a little bit later than normal, not super late. And it worked out pretty well for me. I did fight a bunch of bookers at the very end, so if I had waited, I probably wouldn't have had to. But it was pretty good showdown. Max both days, wasn't too difficult. Got a bunch of the special matches in, all that good stuff. So, is there anything else you want to talk about the first week that we had, or do you think that pretty much covers it?
I mean, from what I remember, that pretty much covers it.
Okay. So I guess that'll bring us to our next segment, which is going to be some listener mail. You wanna go move to that and get started with that?
Yeah. Do we have a sponsor for listener mail yet?
Actually, I'm glad you asked. We do. Big Red is our sponsor, and they make this all possible for us to ask these questions and talk about them. So drink Big Red. It's delicious.
It really is. Far superior to Big Blue.
Facts. So let's get into the questions. I'll read them off, and we can go from there. So our first question this week comes from the real BKJ, and all it was Bubba. What do you think about that, sir?
Wait, was that literally it?
That's literally the only thing he said with his question.
All right, I can work with that. Actually, what do you think about Bubba? I don't want to take over your show. What are your thoughts?
I don't have Bubba. You know
All right.
that. That was just mean. You're baiting me. I don't appreciate that. I didn't push that button.
Yeah, that button was so long ago, I don't even remember it.
Yeah, I wasn't playing. That's why I didn't push it.
So, Bubba, yeah, hold on. I'm gonna need a second to do some statistical analysis on that. Give me a second. Hold on.
Take your time.
All right, I'm done.
What?
Yeah, done.
All right.
So Bubba. Generally speaking, most people aren't going to have Bubba leveled at all. He's probably by most people considered to be fairly poor in terms of showboats. But he's actually not that bad.
Wait. Hold on. What?
Yeah, I was getting into that, and then you interrupted me.
Well, yeah, but you said Bubba's not that bad. I mean, he's a joke. Yeah. He's a joke for a reason. I'm pretty sure we were being trolled by this comment, in fact.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what happens when you don't let me do the statistical analysis. Once you let me do the analysis, hey, I'm good to go. I got all sorts of things I can talk about Bubba.
All right, well, do your thing.
So I think it's pretty commonly accepted that in the 3-star world, Showboat Booker T and Showboat Macho Man are considered above average and probably pretty good. I think in the 3-star world, most of them, once they hit that finisher, I think most 3-stars have a really tough time kicking out of that. I didn't use them in my 3-star transition, but I know a lot of people did and were very happy with that. Do you have any experience using either of those two?
Very little. Both of mine are 4-star bronze, but they were from fuses, mostly as trainers. I think Savage against lower talent people can beat up on him pretty well because he's got some really low charge moves. The finisher doesn't seem to scale very well though at high level.
Yeah, and that's where Bubba comes in. So all three of those guys, their finisher is essentially do X amount of damage, and then you also get a bonus per the number of protect gems that you have on the board.
What kind of gem?
Um, Perfect gems.
Okay, just checking.
So depending on how many of those you have on the board, you get a multiplier. And the difference is that while Macho Man and Booker T have a very similar multiplier, Bubba's is roughly double. So
Wait,
he, yeah, he does way more damage on the finisher than both Macho and Booker T. And people seem to like those guys. They're good at 3-star, and some people are even kind of excited about them at 4-star. I've seen people
yeah.
that will level them up, and or maybe they'll get a fuse from that new vault that's out, and they'll be like, oh, hey, I got this Macho. Like, I didn't really have plans to level him up, but now that I have him, yeah, I think he'll be someone fun to use. Blah blah blah. But yeah, um, Bubba pretty much does the same thing, except the multiplier is roughly twice as much. So, a couple of
So wait,
examples of things. Go ahead.
before you get into the numbers, which I know you're going to hit us with, I have heard a lot of people say like, "Man, I think Savage or Booker T, Harlem Heat could be really good with that finisher if you were bringing him in after a guy that had loaded their moves and dropped a bunch of protect gems down, like say maybe Dango. For some reason, you don't finish them with the finisher and you got a bunch on there, or someone else that creates a bunch, just of protect gems in general. I've definitely heard people say they think those guys could be good, but I've never heard anyone say Bubba could be good. Yet you're sitting here saying he does double what those guys finishers does.
Yeah, so essentially what you said is 100% accurate. Like, if those guys come in and someone else already has a bunch of protect gems out there, and then they put some more protect gems out there, then you could hit a finisher that, with the protection from those gems, suddenly you have a pretty fairly good sized finisher and a good chance of winning that match. What I'm saying is that Bubba is better at doing that than those other two because his finisher is going to be much, much higher. So I can give you some examples if you'd like, kind sir.
I'm actually shockingly somewhat interested in this because I've always assumed Bubba was trash and I didn't have him on my squad, so I just went with what everyone said.
Yeah. So you mentioned having guys that can, make a bunch of protect gems. So the easiest example of that is going to be the Fiend. Now, I know people are going to be like, oh, quit talking about the Fiend. No one has the Fiend. I'm just giving you an example. So, Fiend can drop a 6x6 area of Protect Gems, which is 36 gems. So, then if you were to bring Bubba in and immediately do his finisher, that's already 186k.
Oh, so how much at 4-star gold? How much is each protect gem adding on for damage?
So at gold, those numbers I believe are with a trainer boost or without.
Let's go both. Do you have with and without?
Yeah, because the numbers I gave you are without any additional boosts.
So you're saying without a protect gem damage increase guy like ABA, it's 100 and what did you say, like 80 some thousand?
Yeah, so that's without any additional. So Bubba's do per protect gem 4,569, and if you were to add biker taker on there, it goes up to 6,397. So roughly 6,400 per protect gem.
That's a lot.
Yes. So if you were,
What's the
if you,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Do you know what's the move cost and color on that finisher? Is it a yellow, and what's the cost? Do you know right off?
It's yellow. I believe it is 11.
That's not bad.
No, it's not. It's not super bad, especially if considering you're going to bring him in with the hot tag, and you could use someone like, I don't know, Dango to load that finisher.
Yeah, Dango, if they manage to kick out, obviously they'll probably break a few of your protect gems, but he's going to make 4 columns on the finisher, so that's like, what, 28 gems?
Yeah.
And then alternatively, you could also put like Harlem Heat on, and you drop like 9 of his other ones, but that wouldn't be nearly as impressive in the damage department.
Yeah. So I mean, for example, let's say you are using biker taker on him, then now instead of the, what was it? I think it was 180 something,
Mm-hmm.
186k on the finisher. If you put biker taker on him, suddenly that jumps up to 252k for the finisher. Um, and he has another move that creates additional protect gems. So if you did that first, again, if you had him also trained by Harlem Heat Booker, then you could now put 46 protect gems out there. And now we're talking about 316k on the finisher with the entire board full of protect gems.
So
And
what's
if you want to bump it a little bit more, you could even put Bailey on as a coach
so
for
base
15% extra.
so basically what you're saying is, if you have Fiend, you might as well just level up Bubba Ray and click the win button.
I wouldn't go that far, but there is a situation where Bubba Ray is extremely good. Like I said, before we got into 4 stars, there were some high level players. I mean, people that were routinely like top 3 in feud who swore by Bubba Ray. And yeah, everyone was like, "What are you talking about? This guy's garbage." And yeah, I mean, we've kind of forgotten about him since he's not really in any polls or in the game at all. Um, and at 4 star, yeah, it's a little bit harder um, to get him going by himself. He does have a move that generates yellows, which you don't get that from Booker T or from Macho Man. So yeah, maybe a little bit slower, but hits way harder than both of them. So if for some reason you're looking for a protect gem guy, and Triple H, not Triple H, Booker T and Macho Man intrigue you, yeah, maybe look at Booker. I mean, if somehow you have those kind of showboat tokens to burn, yeah, I mean, there is a situation where he could be really strong. I personally wouldn't level him, but there you go. That is the answer to Bubba question mark.
Okay, so just humor me for a second here. You said his protect bonus damage with Biker Taker was like 6.3k.
Um, yeah, 3 short of 6,400 actually, 6,397.
Okay, so 6,400. So if you even let's say you're going to use Dango and just drop his 5 protect gems down, and Bubba's make protect gem is purple as well. So let's just assume you have that loaded. So you're gonna have 5, and then you're gonna have Bubba's 5, then you're gonna have Harlem Heat training. So you're gonna have like, I don't know, 9 more, so 14. Then if you have Bailey and Earthquake, you have 16 protect gems. You would still be doing what, over 100k plus 20k on the finisher, so 120k finisher with a bunch of really strong protect gems on the board, 16 of them, well over 3k strength. And then there's also that 15% bonus from Bailey, so you'd actually be 120, like almost 140, 150k damage with that many protect gems on the board. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If you were going to want to level Booker T or Macho to do that, Bubba does actually seem like he would be much better to do the same thing.
Yeah, the problem is, as I mentioned, that with those other two guys, you might get a fuse, whereas with Bubba, you're not going to get a fuse.
Yes,
So it
and
is going to cost a lot of tokens to get there.
so basically what you're saying is if I ever get a partridge, I should claim Bubba with my partridge.
I don't even know what that means, but I like the way it sounds.
Yes. Okay. So I think we can officially say that that troll question, if it was a troll question, was actually a pretty good one.
Yeah, I mean, when's the last time you heard anyone talk about Bubba?
Never except to say he sucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
What
What
what, what else you got?
this is why this in fact this is why I invited you to be on the show because of hard-hitting analysis like this. Um
Yes.
did I read somewhere that you did your doctorate abroad? Is that accurate?
Yes, Latveria.
Okay, that. All right, moving on. Our next question comes from Bomber 702 and it says, and I quote, JYD all caps, and that's it.
So let's start with you. What do you think about Junkyard Dog? I'm assuming that's what he means.
I
Not
I can
not junior youth development. Junior youth development is actually the NXT equivalent of the TWO organization. They have a lot of really good things coming out of there. Bret Hart had his start there. Uh, Natalia's husband had his start there. Lots of really good stuff coming out of JYD.
incidentally, we are looking to sign them up as a sponsor. I wasn't going to talk about that during this, but we are hoping to get them to sponsor the podcast. So since you happen to mention it, just be on the lookout in future podcasts and see if we do in fact pick up that sponsorship. JYD, they're building the next level of talent in TWO.
Yeah, the last huge JYD talent to come out of there was a fellow by the name of Kenny Omega. I think all the guys that think they're the elite wrestling fans that AEW is so much better. Yeah, AEW is basically JYD's scraps.
Wow, impressive.
Sorry.
All right, that's okay. Even though you digressed a little bit there, back to Junkyard Dog. Mine is at an astounding 2-star gold. And honestly, I can't field this question because I have no idea what I would do with him. The only reason he's leveled is because I think there was some event where you got bonus for doing a showboat or a legend or something. Um, so how about you? Do you have any analysis for this one since you were really surprising with that Bubba question?
I mean, I could do the same thing. Give me a couple seconds. I'll crunch the numbers and tell you what comes out of it.
Uh, take
Give me a second.
yeah, take your time, sir. There's no way
Okay,
you're.
it's done. It's done.
Oh,
So, Junkyard Dog, looking at him, when you crunch the numbers and really look at kind of the moves and everything that's available to him, um, he's really bad. Like, he stinks.
okay. So safe to assume this one was a troll. There's no way Junkyard Dog could be any good, and he just flat out sucks. Ignore him on your roster.
So, if we look at the data as it exists now, yes. But if we extrapolate the data and look at potential outcomes in any time future, then there is a divergent timeline where Junkyard Dog potentially could become very interesting and very usable.
I find that hard to believe, but you surprised me with Bubba, so carry on.
So, Junkyard Dog, his problem is he has a move that will turn yellow gems into reinforced. He has a move that will turn immobile gems into reinforce. He has all of these moves where you could do some, interesting things using immobile gems and reinforced gems. The problem is that he has zero way of making immobile gems. So it's almost like they were going to make him do something, and then they got busy and forgot to put the last move in there. So there's all these uh, rumors, there's rumor and innuendo about a potential 5-star shift at some point. If Junkyard Dog at 5 stars suddenly got a move where he created immobile gems, either as a choose scenario or maybe he would be really annoying if, let's say, he got a move similar to Sergeant Slaughter, where every turn he's making, let's say, a 2x2 area into immobile gems. He could suddenly lock the board up, turn them into reinforced gems, turn them into yellow gems, and suddenly he kind of turns into a King of Kings where you're doing double your yellow damage because they're reinforced, but he has the added bonus of being able to control your opponent because you're locking down their gems.
So
So
kind of like,
if that were to happen, I'm not saying it is, but
would he?
Junkyard Dog is basically just one move away from being suddenly very interesting.
So almost like Champa's moveset then, where he makes the silence gems into green gems, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Except
Yeah, I mean there's
you'd be hitting double yellow because of
yeah, I mean
reinforce.
there's a couple of guys where it's like you turn it into one thing and then turn it into another thing and then at the end profit. So
So
it's similar to that.
everyone's fear of Junkyard Dog, or as they like to say, this X crappy character being good at 5-star gold. In the case of Junkyard Dog, that potentially could happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think with most characters, there's usually at least two moves that kind of synergize. So if there was just one move that was strategically added, I mean, suddenly you got someone that's very usable.
Okay.
So I'm sure there's somewhere out there someone that has a 4-star gold Junkyard Dog just to say that he has it. And yeah, maybe he gets something interesting, and then at 5 yellow, he's ruling the WWE Champions universe.
Okay. But to summarize, he's pure crap, and that was a troll question. So we should probably move on.
Yeah, I mean you shouldn't level him, but
Okay. Um. So here's we got. Do we have time for two more questions? Because I have two more that I wouldn't mind getting to. You know what? We have time for two more.
hey
So
man, it's your show. We got time for whatever you say we got time for.
okay. Well, what's the point of having a show if you can't do whatever you want with it, right?
Yeah.
It's not like anyone's listening anyway, so
Yeah. I think that's actually a quote from Vince McMahon.
I believe it. So this question, it comes from Punisher, and it says Z Kane.
Wait, the dude who got his family killed and goes on a vengeance-filled rampage?
I mean, his avatar looks like the Punisher symbol, so it could be. Maybe it's Thomas Jane.
I mean, I don't know how comfortable I am playing a game with a murderer, but sorry, I won't judge. Continue.
Is it still murder if it's
100%. What are you talking about?
All right.
Is it still?
All right, fine. We won't get into that this episode.
Yeah, I'd want to turn this into politics.
Okay, so this one comes from Punisher, and the question says Z Kane ... and the astonishingly underrated Sasha. Do you want to do your analysis on this one too?
Not really. So I would much prefer. Do you have these guys? Can you talk?
I have Z Kane.
So do you feel you can talk about him?
I mean, I can try. Mine's.
What about the Sasha lady?
I really don't want to talk about Sasha because it's the first chase card I missed in a calendar year. However, I'm fine doing that. So
how about this? How about you talk about those two, and I will go grab a refreshing Big Red, because Big Red is delicious.
It really is. Sounds like a plan. Okay, so my Z Kane's only 3-star gold. He's fast tracked for 4-star gold. He looks super fun, really versatile. Probably super annoying defensively, assuming you can get the red loaded. And from everything I can tell, he looks like he would be quite good offensively, using his double yellow move and then the red area move. And I believe he has some pretty good gear, which I sadly don't have. And yeah, with the gear, yellow moves that destroy gems will destroy 4 more gems. So that would make his finisher destroy 7 yellow gems and almost completely load his stun, assuming you had enough gems on the board. So I think with the gear, you're probably a recycling stun machine. And even without the gear, you're probably going to be able to get back to that stun quite easily in 2 different ways. Potentially running him DDP to destroy more random yellows on the finisher. And he's got an 8 charge that changes an area into red. So I think that moveset has a lot of legs and probably could clear a bunch of content, be decent in feud and showdown and lots of other stuff potentially. Not maybe the fastest guy in the world, but probably doesn't take a lot of damage. Now his annoying build, and this is kind of what I want to try just because it looks annoying. He's got a 4 MP red. You kick out and gain like 1,000,000 health. So that kind of solves the problem of not being able to kick out of pins, and it heals you. And then his 4-star move, which I don't have yet, is a black move that does a fair amount of damage. It's 1 MP. You're going to hit it every turn. And then it deals damage to you as well. But it's only 1 MP. And then he's got a 2 MP move that heals himself. So between that, you could potentially be really annoying. You could also maybe go double red and the black damage move, and then just use the high charge red to pin. But either way, both of those movesets look fun. I think if you have the gear, he looks really, really good. And even without the gear, for a showboat in particular, I think he would be quite good. And strapped up, probably very annoying to deal with. So I think, in fact, this is my next showboat going to 4-star gold. I think he's a top tier showboat personally. So that's kind of my thoughts on Zcane. If you have him, level him.
I'm back, by the way.
Oh.
You are out of cheese dip, so just heads up on that.
You ate the last of my cheese dip?
You're out of cheese dip. Weren't you going to talk about Sasha?
I was. I also want to cover Kane's coach, which is amazing if you have an X-Break guy. They do 25% more damage, and they also generate 1 more at 9k, so great coach too. Yes, Sasha. Okay. I happen to think, and we'll get in this more later, I'm sure, but I happen to think she is the best female showboat if you have the gear.
Whoa.
If you have the gear.
Female showboat, not just best female.
No, not best female. Female showboat.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Yeah. Best female showboat. She's got some pretty good gear, which I think is definitely important for the build. And let's get back to that. Right. Come on. There we go. The gear, yellow moves start with 5 more MP, which is a lot. So you're going to get those yellows going right away. And one is a sub, which I know you'll like. And this,
yeah, I mean, already I was about to fight you because I think Paige with gear is probably the class of the showboats. But you said 5, and Paige gets 4, I believe. It's 4 for everything, but I mean, if you're saying Sasha's all about the yellow, then 5 is better. And she has a sub, so I mean, what's the problem?
So her gear in Aka means the sub is ready turn 1, which I'm sure you like.
Yeah.
It makes remaining ones into those protect gem things we were talking about, so you know that's kind of good. And her finisher deals damage for every protect gem on the board as well. So, and that's 11 yellow, so you're not going to need to take very long to get to that yellow. She's got a move that buffs protect gems. She's got a couple of moves that make protect gems, so a lot of stuff going on. I think with the gear she becomes pretty good. Fairly fast. A lot of different ways you could run her, to be perfectly honest. So, um, plus Punisher knows his stuff. So if he's saying astonishingly underrated, who am I to disagree?
Yeah, I mean, you're saying that she gets a buff to the or that she gets bonus damage for every protect gem. Um, so maybe not as good as Bubba, because as we've established, Bubba is apparently amazing. But she has a sub,
She
which
does have a
kind of,
sub.
yeah, that kind of now makes it a much more even playing field. So Bubba sounded like he could be really good. So I have no problems with Sasha on paper sounding really, really good. I
Also,
didn't know that was the thing. I didn't know people were saying that she wasn't good.
I mean, I think most people don't have her, and she didn't blow a lot of people out of the water, mainly because of how good Bailey is and was during that month. And then a lot
Yeah,
of
Bailey
people,
ain't playing no games.
yeah, Bailey ain't. That's a fact. So, also, I'm really afraid to disagree with Punisher on the outside chance that he is the Punisher. I would like to continue to be the longest running episodic podcast in WWE Champions history. You know what I mean?
Yeah, big shout out to the Punisher. We're big fans.
Yeah, great show. Both the show and the
Please,
movie. Excellent,
yeah,
excellent movie.
yeah. Please don't kill us.
Yeah, we love you. Okay. Um. Oh, last question. This is a good one, actually.
I think they've all been good.
Maybe not the Junkyard Dog one.
Okay.
Whatever. In fact, just the fact that people ask questions kind of surprised me. So even if some of them might have been trolls, we do appreciate your input. Thank you guys. It means maybe a few people
I
listened.
refuse to believe. I refuse to believe people on the internet are trolls. Show me facts. You can't just say things.
Reddit.
Where did you read it?
Moving
What's the last
on.
question, sir?
Yes. So the last question comes from Gig. I'm not sure if that's a real name or not, but it comes from Gig. He says, Warrior looks good. Is it worth dumping a bunch of coin into showboats to get him? I'm assuming what that means is he's very close to having enough points in the current event to land Warrior. And he's wondering if leveling up showboats the rest of the way to get that is worth it. From the sounds of it, it would be a sizable chunk of his coin hoard. So, do you want to do your number thing since you were able to take a short break there and have a nice, delicious Big Red?
I think before we even get that far, how do you feel about the idea of just using resources to try to get a new character in general? I have kind of like some thoughts on that, but I'd like to hear yours.
So, I've done it a bunch of times actually. In fact, pretty much every time I could. Would you like me to extrapolate on what some of those times were?
Sure.
Most recent was Drew, very similar showdown event, and I believe it was maxing modern guys. I spent almost all of my coin at that time, and it was over 30 million coin to get Drew. So that was one time. The previous two times were during Spring Outbreak for zombies. I needed to finish first, second, or third in the TP event to get enough shards to guarantee me Zcane. That was the only way I would be able to recruit him. So I kind of went ham and spent roughly, I think it was 16,000, 18,000 TP, but I got Zcane for free. And
Ham also delicious.
ooh, ham is delicious.
I don't think we can get sponsored by ham in general though, but let's look into that.
Yeah, Virginia ham, smoked, preferably if we do.
I have no problems with that. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Okay. And the other one was also Spring Outbreak and involved using a bunch of coin to finish. I think I had to finish top 10 or top 20 to get enough shards to ensure recruiting Zombie Cena. And I also pulled the trigger on that. So I think anytime you can get, and both of those guys are great coaches, rare guys. I think and so is Drew. Anytime you can get a rare guy who's a great coach, regardless of how he is as a wrestler, for free, you do it. Warrior.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really disagree with that. Like you're saying, if he's a great wrestler on his own, then even better. But if he's a rare guy that's a part of, one of these special divisions, whether it be zombies or in this case, we have this Marvel Universe thing going on, not Marvel, Masters of the Universe. If they are then also a good trainer and there's someone that's just released, they're probably also going to be featured as a required character moving forward. So unless they're literally Junkyard Dog, probably a lot of good reasons to go ahead and spend a little bit extra, especially if it's something that is renewable. I mean, you're gonna eventually get more coins. You're gonna eventually get more TP. You're not going to have a situation like this where you're able to get this character. I mean, so many times new characters have come out and then after that the shards just disappear. Like, I need like 3 shards for Andrade, and there are no Andrade shards. So I think if you have the chance, if you see that he's worth it, makes sense to pull the trigger.
I think so too.
So with the criteria laid out, I mean, you said, good trainer has to be, as a part of one of these things where he could be featured more moving forward. And then if he's a good wrestler, bonus. How do you feel about Ultimate Warrior? Does he fit? Does he fit those?
Absolutely, I think so. Like I said, I would definitely spend a sizable chunk of my coin to ensure that I got him.
Just to be clear, we mean in-game coin.
Yes.
We don't want you missing your child support payments just to get the cartoon wrestler.
Right. However, if it is in your budget and you do enjoy playing the game, I have no issues with you supplementing your gameplay with real life cash as long as it doesn't hurt you and your family.
Yeah, both spend and drink Big Red responsibly.
Big Red, it's delicious.
So let's talk more about Warrior.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty nice segue into Warrior. So thanks for that question, Gig. Great question. You're probably not the only one thinking about that right now. Warrior, I like him actually a lot. I did his L mode tour with him only at 5.1k, level 60, and one move level 8, one move level 7, and the other move level 1. So pretty impressed considering all of the guys were class disadvantages. I did have to replay Tozawa and I had to replay Ray. But he is quite good. And I think the only downside, really, if he were any class, probably other than a showboat with the moveset he has, we would be talking, people would be probably over the moon about him, especially if he was a powerhouse striker, those higher gem damage classes. The only thing holding him back from, being talked about as, oh my gosh, this guy is freaking amazing, is the fact that his gem damage is a little bit lower, being a showboat. But he's got 2 very viable movesets. One of them essentially is a better Matt Hardy, mainly because you're not going to force a pin when you're choosing those 4 gems to make into yellow. You can guarantee you don't make a pin most of the time, so you're not going to waste a turn there. Other than that, very similar to Matt Hardy. And then the other moveset is really fun because it's got a really cheap charge. Black move, 6 MP, and you choose some yellows to destroy. And then you got a fairly cheap 7 MP move that you can make protect gems, choose where they go. And then your yellow move, you change the protect gems into cross break gems, put them in a line, and kablooey, you blow up the whole board or most of the board. At a high level, you can blow up the whole board with the moves leveled up. Right now, I can blow up 4. His trainers aren't super difficult, it seems, the different trainers you could use. So, yeah, I really like him. He's been a lot of fun to use. And initially, I thought I would stop at 9K for the training ability, but I think after Z-Kane, I'm going to take Warrior 4-star gold.
I feel like people should try to get him and level him, if only for that flying crossbody.
Dude. Man, that animation is ridiculously cool.
Yeah, like these, I know it's been mentioned before, but these new animations, these over-the-top animations, really cool. Basically, for this one, he flies off the top rope, does a twist before doing the crossbody. Just, it looks really cool.
It kind of looks like if Ultimate Warrior was Ricochet, it might look something like that.
See, I would have said if Ultimate Warrior was an Olympic figure skater, but I guess your example makes more sense.
I don't know what to say? Question mark? Olympic figure skater. I have questions, sir.
Yeah, like the figure skaters, they jump and they twirl
Uh,
and then land. Like he's literally doing the same thing. He's jumping and come on.
all right, so I'm going to do the move right now. And for those of you still listening to this, did that look anything like a figure skater?
No one's listening to this. Come on, don't. Sorry.
I mean, you're right. But if they were. Anyway,
let's see the pirouette.
It was amazing. And I'm going to do his heroic warrior press slam now, which basically he turns into the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
I mean, they're amazing animations.
And even his walking animation, like he does this really intimidating spear toss, like it makes you fear for the audience's safety. Like it's just a very fun character, aside from the fact that also solid wrestler. And you haven't even talked about his trainer ability. I think that's also really good.
Right? Yeah, the trainer ability, so right out the gate, it basically makes it so I don't have to worry about facing a protect gem guy, a multiply gem guy, or a Harlem Heat Booker T with my Dango, who, as you all know, if you've ever listened to me talk, I think is the greatest thing since sliced bread. So, yeah, I'm going to get, honestly, my goal is to have Z-Kane 9K before October. Not 9K, I'm sorry, 4-star gold before October. And I kind of... Warrior might sidetrack me just because I know I'm going to play him a lot because his animations look really cool. Like, I could see farming with this and just having fun with it or doing dailies with it just because it looks cool and it's fun to use. And
yeah, how much do Zombie Kane's moves cost?
They're more expensive. Other than
so I mean, with Warrior, you're talking about moves that with perks you could have ready turn 1.
Right. The 6 MP and the 7 MP, definitely. And also, feud coming up, he's definitely got a line bonus that will benefit him pretty big, too. So, short term, maybe Warrior will be used a little more, so I might make Z-Kane wait for second.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying Warrior is better than Z-Kane, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying he looks really cool, and I'm having a lot of fun using him, and he's not going to be bad. Like, taking him to 4-star gold won't hurt me.
Yeah, I would say most people, if you do end up getting them I would say for sure you need to get him to at least 9K. And if you decide that you want to make him 4-star gold, it's probably not that bad of a decision. I mean, you could make a lot of worse showboat investments in terms of making someone 4-star gold, and maybe not too many better ones, you could argue.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty short list of who would be clearly better at showboat.
So, you want to talk about that more? Is there anything specific to Warrior that you wanted to discuss
Uh,
before we start talking about maybe where he stacks up against the other showboats?
No, I think I mostly covered the specific stuff with Warrior. He looks super cool. He's a great trainer. He's got two unique move sets. Well, maybe the Hardy move set not quite unique, but it's a better version of Matt Hardy. So yeah, I mean he's good. He's really good. He won't hurt you. He's super fun to play with, and he's got some low charge moves too. So 6 MP guy could potentially be a farmer for you. You might have better ones, but he's still a 6 MP guy, and he's going to be usable in feud surely.
Yeah, I mean, with moves costing 6 and 7, that's always going to be what you're looking for a feud player. So definitely someone that could be good.
Yes, agree.
So you want to move on to where he ranks with the other showboats?
Yeah, we can do that. I like we said, there's not a lot of guys that are clearly better. We could probably cover that fairly quickly.
So let's throw the rare ones out of the way first, so that we can just stop talking about them, and that way no one accuses us of spending a lot of time on rare guys.
Sure. So
Uh, and NWO Perfect, I'm not even going to mention because he doesn't exist.
I don't think anyone even has him. Maybe
Yeah,
like 2 guys in the whole game. So yeah, and
yeah,
and I don't know that he would be better. His training ability is awesome, but I don't know that he would be better.
yeah. So in this case, let's not even say who would be better. Um, who would you rather have? So at that point, where you're kind of weighing both their ability as a fighter
Hmm.
and their training ability.
So that's going to be a really interesting question because he's going to be super good on my favorite card in the game, which is Dango, because
Mhm.
he's going to make it easier against Booker T. He's going to help against every multiply gem user, and on the outside chance I have to use a protect gem guy or play against one, he's going to help with that too. So
Yeah,
that's there's
he'd be great on that 4-star gold Bubba.
he would, or he'd be great on that 4-star gold fiend you have because you push the button.
Yeah. So what about Fiend? Would you rather have Warrior or Fiend? Fiend also has a very
Yes.
useful coach ability.
And that coach ability would be awesome on Earthquake or Kane, both of who I am very, very high on. So for sure I'd rather have Fiend. Yeah, I'd rather have Fiend, especially with gear, but I think I'd rather have Fiend.
Yeah, but not such an easy decision.
Not as easy as I thought it would be.
Yeah. Um, what about Hacksaw?
I'd rather have Warrior.
What about NWO Big Show?
He's got starting blacks on the board too, so that's another one very like Fiend. And the really funny thing is Warrior on NWO Big Show makes NWO Big Show pretty much destroy Booker T, Hall of Fame. So that's a really interesting question. I want them both.
Yeah. And I mean, that's going to be someone that's pretty high tier. So I mean, so far right now, Warrior is pretty high up there in the showboat realm.
For
Um,
showboats, yeah.
let's talk about another showboat that you love, Typhoon.
Man, I do love Typhoon. Warrior's more rare. Typhoon's got a great coach too, so frick. And so Typhoon's skill set, his kit is more useful. No question in my opinion. He can heal. He's got the protect gems, hot tag from Dango. He's gonna be ridiculously stupid. I his coach ability is fantastic, especially if you don't have Ray, then it's really fantastic. I think I'd rather have Typhoon, but Warrior is way more rare. But I think I'd rather have Typhoon.
Yeah, I mean, considering that you've spent a couple weeks kind of telling people that if possible they should make Typhoon 4-star gold, to say that he's pretty much on that tier in terms of usefulness, that's saying a lot.
Yeah, I think I would put Warrior because of the coach and, some flexibility with low charge moves. So Typhoon lacks low charge moves, but he's got a great kit and he can heal and protect gem and stuff. Warrior, there's not a lot of showboats you're going to talk about going off turn one in feud. Piper comes to mind.
Yeah,
And
that's what I was going to say next. I was going to ask you how he compares to Piper.
I think Piper's going to do more damage if you use his choose move right and fill his stuff up for the second cycle. And I think Piper wins.
Warrior more consistently will recharge. Piper higher damage potential.
Yeah, I think so.
But both low charge, both usable in feud. Whereas
Yes.
someone like Typhoon, he's more a hot tag for showdown.
Right, or like a blitzer or heal your guys or that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So both very good, but for different gameplay settings.
Exactly.
Let's see. I'm trying to find someone else because I know once I ask you this guy, you're gonna talk about him until I just disconnect. I guess I'll go ahead and do it. Warrior or Dango.
Dango, don't even need to think about it.
So I feel like that's the only one that you said you don't have to think about it.
Yeah, the other one that would actually, of the rare guys, and I'll get back to Dango in a second, that would be Hall of Fame Sting. Because he generates another yellow. I'm sorry, not yellow, blue. And he does more blue gem damage. And he's extremely rare. And he's got some low charge moves. I would go Hall of Fame Sting before Warrior 2, but not anywhere near like I would say like I just did Dango. But
Dango's in a class all by himself.
For me, it's no question he is the best showboat in the game, bar none, by a mile. But I use him all the time for everything, and he's amazing. And the only actually I don't use him for feud unless there's a plus MP line bonus that he can be in, and then he is again incredibly amazing. But I will put that caveat on Dango. He is 8 MP to get started, so he's not a turn 1 feud guy. He will win every time on turn 2, but he's not turn 1.
So let's do a comparison now. You said Dango easily the best showboat in the game. How about the showboat that maybe a lot of other people would say is the best showboat in the game? Where do you think Warrior and Dango compare to Slick Rick?
I don't. Slick Rick is very good, but I don't like him. He can hit really hard. He's got a low charge sub you can slow people down with a bit. But I just don't like him.
He feels just a little bit clunky.
Yeah, that's exactly why I don't like him. Like, so when he works, no question, he hits insanely hard, can end the match when he hits as a showboat. But I find often when I'm trying to set up the board, like there's a yellow already in the wrong spot, so I can't make the rows the way I want to maximize it. You know, when you make a line break and then drop all the yellows onto each other. Yeah. So I find that happens to me a lot, and then having to load the two moves just is it's just really clunky. So for me, if I want to have a guy that does a huge damage in one turn, I would prefer to use like a Ken Shamrock or something like that, a powerhouse who you just gonna blow the board up and walk away and call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, Shamrock, he has a similar setup where you need to charge multiple different colors to really get everything to work well together. But the benefit that Shamrock has is that one of those moves only costs 3. So you don't really have to actually fill it yourself. I mean, while you fill the other ones up, that one just fills up for you.
Right. Plus, you're going to have a line bonus. So in feud, or not even a line bonus, but 2 MP. So that 3 charge is ready turn 1 anyway.
Yeah.
I will say though that if Slick Rick has a skip turn belt, that definitely makes him more attractive and helps with some of that clunkiness. So I would say if you got one of those legendary epic skip turn straps, he would be a prime candidate for that and would help him a bunch. I just don't love him. So, but he's very, very good.
Yeah, I would agree. Very good. Probably one tier below some of these guys that we've been mentioning right now.
For my play style, yes, but I could also see why some people would put him up there too, and I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah. Now, during a summer course when I was home from Latveria, I took a cooking class that was sponsored by fellow content creator Davey D. And he was really, every class we would ask him, hey, what are we going to cook today? And every class, the only thing that he wanted to make was quiche. He was always like, we're going to work with a piece of the quiche. So I had some quiche. I would like to know, where do you think the piece of the quiche stands in the world of showboats?
I would argue one of the better trainers. He's a coach, but same difference. I find
That's just
just words. One, nobody says piece of the quiche like Davey. Shout out Davey, or Fam, or any of that other stuff. I would love a Davey D soundboard, by the way.
we should work on that.
We should. Like,
I say you should work on that. I'm not going to do it. You should work on it.
I mean, it would probably be copyright infringement of some kind, but having
can't you just ask him, be like, hey, we're going to use your sound bits. Is that cool?
I mean, I could ask him, because whenever we talk about Bailey, we could play the sound bite about Bailey sending, was it Charlotte to the Rapture?
Yes.
Which is
fantastic.
Yeah, that's one of the funniest things, man. Yeah, if you don't know who Davey is, and if you're listening to this, there's no way that's true. Go watch his videos. He's hilarious. Super entertaining.
Good content and very entertaining.
Absolutely. Back to Rikishi. I find that extra yellow with the guys I have to be quite useful. I love having the MP coach, and it seems like Rikishi is one that I would equip or do equip often. So a very important one, big fan. One of those guys that I would say take to 9K really early on. So let's say you got your 4-star gold guy already, your main showboat, whoever that might be, whether it's, Typhoon, Warrior, Hardy, whoever you took to 4-star gold first, hopefully not Andre. Piper.
Whoa. Controversial.
It is. I know. Rikishi is one of those guys that I would take to 9K immediately after having a 4-star gold guy. So for sure, very big on his coachability.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that you would probably want to do first is Enzo and Ziggler, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Get those to 5K.
Yeah, for sure, those 2 to 5K first, then Rikishi to 9K, and then if you're using any double yellow guys, Enzo or Akam, as it were now, to 9K.
Then obviously you want to make Mankind 4-star gold first, and then Rikishi to 9K.
Right, because Mankind is the only one that could possibly give Dango a run for his money, and just because he was my first 4-star gold showboat, and Anyway, you know what, kids? Don't be like me. Don't make Mankind your first 4-star gold showboat. However, I'm a Mark, and I was really happy to do it, and I enjoy using him. But don't do it.
So let's talk about some other people that maybe are potential candidates for 4-star gold and whether or not you think that's a good idea, it's a bad idea, how you feel about that.
Okay, so
So most of the people that we just mentioned probably are going to be fine. I mean,
yeah,
Fiend, Typhoon, Dango, obviously. You just mentioned Matt Hardy, and you keep calling Warrior a better Matt Hardy. Um, but Matt Hardy's really good. So if he's a better Matt Hardy, then Warrior is really even better. I mean,
yeah.
what do you think about Matt Hardy?
Matt Hardy's really good. So Slick Rick is better, but I would take Matt Hardy before Slick Rick because I don't care for Slick's playstyle. But I'm not saying Matt Hardy is better than Slick because he's not. I just do not like playing Slick. So Matt Hardy is definitely a guy I could see bringing to 4-star gold if you don't have those other guys like a Dango, Fiend, Hall of Fame Sting, I would still rather have Typhoon because the same criticism about Typhoon being slow. He's got a 8-charge move that makes yellows. Matt's got an 8-charge move. Matt'll probably pin with his. Typhoon probably won't, but Typhoon might not completely get to his finisher. So hit or miss. Rikishi will help on Typhoon too. But yeah, Matt is one of those guys. You could 4-star gold. I wouldn't have an issue with it. I'd take Piper first to 4-star gold, but I would take him over most of the other guys. I'd also take, of course, ZK and 4-star gold before Matt, but those guys are pretty rare, so you may not have those. But Matt Hardy definitely won't hurt you taking him to 4-star gold.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned playstyle. Personally, I ended up deciding on Matt 4-star gold over Slick Rick just because I liked the playstyle a lot more, especially, once we got into the higher health pool, the ability to recycle those moves consistently to me was more beneficial than having one super big bang. That yeah, when it goes off, it's great, but then you gotta work with it. You gotta set it up right. It just seemed like Matt was easier to use, more consistent, and I could use him in different types of events a little bit more. So, just in terms of what I enjoyed and the kind of use that I thought I was going to get out of him, I like Matt more. But yeah, I mean, Slick Rick for sure is not bad.
Yeah.
Uh, let's see. Who else are people taking potentially to 4-star gold? Let's not beat around the bush. Andre the Giant.
Okay. I hate Andre. He's really good, but I hate him. So now when I
I think
say
that's I think that's perfect analysis.
yeah, when I say that, what I mean is if you're early in your roster development, Andre is probably the guy that's going to help you the most. Like, you will clear content, you will beat stuff, he wins all the time, he hits above his level. However, people fall in love with him early because he does all of that. And then they get him to 4-star gold and they continue to feud with him when they shouldn't, or showdown with him when they shouldn't. Um, he's super slow. He'll win, but he's slow. And
He's not going to win in showdown.
no, he won't win
Not.
in showdown. I'm
I
talking
mean,
feud. Yeah, he won't.
yeah.
He won't win in showdown. Showdown, that is one of the worst guys you can put on your defense. Don't do it.
Yeah, I would say, except for Dango, really any showboat out in front, at least for me, is a huge target. Like I see a showboat, that's someone that I know one big pin and they're not kicking out. That's a fast, easy win.
Yeah, no question. I target showboats first. The exception being Dango.
So yeah, I mean, I feel the same way about Andre. I think he's really good. Um, Early on, if you were to take him to, let's say, 4-star bronze, you're going to get a ton of use out of him. I mean, his choose move is going to wipe out 3-star characters. If you need to beat some 4-star silvers, maybe even some 4-star golds, you're going to be able to accomplish that because of the sub move. If you use it smartly, maybe even use a prop here and there. But like you said, people are like, "Oh, this guy's great. Let me keep leveling him up." oh yeah, he's great. Let me keep leveling up. And yes, he will do more damage the more you level him up, but there's just a limit to the return that you're getting on. So
Yeah,
personally, I think 4-star bronze is probably a nice little area to have him. If you needed to do a, let's say for a talent up or something, you needed an additional 4-star fuse. If you wanted to take him to 4-star silver and you didn't have anyone else that you were working on, sure, that would be something you could do. Personally, I had that choice recently where I could have taken Andre to 4-star silver, but I would rather use those tokens on Dango. I didn't want to set Dango back that far just to get some extra points, so I found the points somewhere else. So yeah, Andre, I think 4-star bronze is probably the best place to have him. 4-star silver, maybe it's a little bit higher than I would prefer, but you're probably not making any big mistakes with that. I think 4-star gold, at that point, you've made a significant investment in him, and you're probably using him a little bit more than you should. So we're not saying that he's bad. It's just that in terms of how you should be using him and the other things that you could be using with those tokens, I don't think he should be top priority.
yeah, I agree completely. Early on in your roster development, he might be one of the best guys to take 4-star bronze first. You'll clear a bunch of tours with him and all of that kind of stuff. So no issues with that. But don't make him your first 4-star gold. Um, it, and don't fall in love with him. He's very good, but he's also very bad at the same time, as weird as that sounds.
Yep, no, I agree.
I do want to make sure we talk about King of Kings, um, because we did,
Why?
because he's one of those guys that would fall into the category of being worth taking to 4-star gold, in my opinion.
Go ahead.
So at 4-star gold, he modifies a massive area into reinforced gems. It's like 3x6 or 3x7. And his choose area goes to 3x3. Basically, what that means is you're dropping 9 yellows on reinforced gems, and you are going to do a heck of a lot of damage. And he's pretty dang good. He does a huge amount of damage. So one of those guys, if you could get a strap for him, which he's might not be the easiest thing, but get a strap for him, he's pretty dang good. Also, the boss plate would work on him when he laid those yellows down, so you would be able to do some kablooey with the boss plate as well. But, um, you know, really good showboat with high damage output potential, and you'd have the benefit of being able to use him in all the VIP stuff. So I think he is definitely one of those guys potentially worth taking to 4-star gold.
But if you did all that, you would have to watch that sledgehammer animation over and over and over again.
That is the one hole in this theory, is you do have to watch the sledge body shot a bunch, and no one likes that. However, he's still super useful and brings a lot to the table, in my opinion, especially because he can meet a bunch of VIP requirements, and his sub is relatively inexpensive cost-wise. So you could get your auto clear tickets, which I know you like, and he can meet VIP requirements that you run into as well, for the lowest cost possible. So that those things alone make sense.
If you could use the auto clear tickets on the nodes where you have to use them, that would be fantastic.
I mean, that would be nice because sometimes I put off playing that tour way too long, and then I have to do it all in one sitting, and it's not
Yeah,
always the most fun.
yeah, you have to use him.
Well, mine isn't 4-star gold, but yes, you do have to use him to get the benefit of the coins from his tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I think the official name for that is the Victorious Tummy Tickle. I believe that's the official name, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So, are there any other showboats that you think um, would be solid investments at 4-star gold?
Um, I suppose Bobby Roode potentially. A lot of people just got him. He can do some interesting stuff. He can recycle pretty well, and the AI we all know plays him like a champ. So, um, and Bobby Roode could potentially be one. I'm not saying he's the best showboat, but I would take him up well before I take up Andre to 4-star gold. And he, covers modern era, although so does Warrior. I wouldn't take him up before Warrior and that kind of stuff, but maybe Bobby Roode. He wouldn't be a bad one.
Yep. Yeah, I think Bobby Roode, with those reinforced gems, you can do some interesting things setting up the reinforced gems, using the choose move to set up cascades, and then using that to smartly refill your moves, similar to how you would use Piper, except that you have more versatility but less gems. With Piper, you have more gems, but you don't have the reinforced ones.
Right.
But yeah, I think definitely someone that could be usable at 4-star gold.
Also,
Um,
low charge moves. They're 7 MP, so he can be a turn 1 guy in feud.
yeah, always useful. And he has also gear. With his gear, his yellow moves start with 2 additional MP.
Oh man, he does. I need to get that gear.
Yeah, there was a button.
You have it?
Yeah,
I
I
hate
mean,
you.
I never use him, but I figured, one day I might use him. I might as well
Right. Yeah.
get the gear.
Yeah, I should have hit that button. I must have
Yeah.
been not paying attention that day.
So, a couple of guys that I think also would be fairly solid at 4-star gold. Dusty Rhodes. What do you think about that?
I want to say yes. Honestly, I need to personally do more investigatory researchery into the son of a plumber. I do think there's some potential there. I mean, he's got a lot of different things possibly going on. He can destroy a bunch of blacks. He can make gems into yellow gems. He can, he's got a sub. So never mind, he sucks. I'll let you talk about him.
So with Dusty, he has fairly low charge moves. So he has a 7 MP yellow that destroys blacks, which you might be asking yourself, why would I want my showboat to destroy blacks? Well, a couple of things. One, then your strikers don't have those blacks to, use for themselves. But two, it's going to load his black move, which now creates random yellows. So suddenly you have this nice kind of back and forth where your black fills up your yellow and your yellow fills up your blacks. So not a instant recycler, but someone that you can very easily recycle, especially if you have Elias or a piece of the quiche. He also has a submission, which is also yellow. So on the road to refilling your yellow, you drop that submission every once in a while to further slow things down. He has an MP steal that steals green, so a little bit of extra versatility there. His green moves, now he becomes a protect gem character. He also drops the damage on black gems with his other green. So probably not how I would choose to use him, but if for some reason, yeah, you're having trouble, you need to use him in maybe a daily triumph, unless a double against a double green user, then you have that added versatility. I think overall there are a couple of characters, specifically showboats, that have that similar mechanic, where you have one move that loads the next one, and then that same move you go back and forth. Examples are HBK. You're going back and forth with, I think it's the yellow and the red. Ricochet also does something similar, where you're going back and forth. Where I like Dusty more is just because he has that submission to, slow things down just in case you need an extra turn or two to get that match to get things going again. So yeah, I don't think he's top tier, but I think he'd be someone that's fun to play. And if you did end up having him at 4-star gold, I think you could do something, especially with the low charge moves. You're talking about using potentially at least 2 of those moves turn 1.
Yeah, so I don't have an issue with Dusty, like as you maybe a second or third showboat for you, especially like, if you like Dusty, if you're a Mark, he's got some usefulness. He's got an MP steal. So there's a lot worse guys you could do, and the showboat class isn't necessarily super deep for guys I love at 4-star. So yeah, I think Dusty would be one that, not first, but definitely one you could do.
Yeah, definitely not first. At this point, we're talking about, now a tier below, people where you think, well, maybe I could do something with this guy.
Yeah.
Um, Another popular one who's actually pretty good, and no one uses him because by that time you have someone better. Uh, Give us your thoughts on The Rock.
So I kind of really like him actually since the redesign, um, the double blue into the yellow. A lot of fun. Um, Plus, if you're a rock mark, why not? I could see doing him as a second or third showboat too, as someone fun to use. You're gonna increase your yellow gem damage, then you're gonna choose into your yellow, and then your finisher destroys a big 4x4 area. Then that might get better at 4-star gold. I actually haven't looked into that. So he's definitely someone that you could use. Also, a little bit of utility against power gem users. You can convert all power gems into protect gems. Not Booker T, because Booker T's too fast, Hall of Fame. But maybe against a guy like Steamboat, where you could change a bunch of them into protect gems, potentially. But yeah, not a primary, but maybe somebody, if you like The Rock, that wouldn't necessarily hurt you. So you're maybe your third showboat, if you're looking for someone to mess with, he could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think he falls in kind of that same. He's probably going to be stronger than say a Dusty because he is buffing his gem damage. So probably one tier up, but yeah, definitely not a top priority, I would say. I probably feel similar about Stone Cold, which a lot of people probably got in the showdown.
Mm-hmm.
I probably feel similar to him as what you mentioned on Rock. That yeah, he's going to do some good damage, especially. I mean, he's making those protect gems with his finisher, so he adds that added utility of maybe you can get a cheap win here and there. So someone that if you did decide to take him 4-star gold, probably not the worst decision, but probably shouldn't be your primary 4-star gold.
Right. Yeah. Maybe if you got his gear too, which was $100, so you probably don't have it because $100. I don't have it. It doubles the reinforced damage. So when you place those yellows, you're gonna have them tick twice, and the first tick is gonna have the reinforced gems down. So you're basically gonna have 100% damage on the first tick. And if you want to be really annoying, you can put his kick out on, so when you pin him, he just kicks out and gains health. Uh, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
certainly usable. Definitely not top tier anymore. But yes, usable and wouldn't kill you at 4-star. Just not your first guy.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of does it for me. There are a couple of other guys who maybe, I would say take to 9K, someone like, Zombie AJ. There's some people that I would for sure want at 5K. So we talked about Ziggler already, but, Harlem Heat Booker is someone that's really good training ability. Um, but other than that, I think those are probably going to be most of the people that you're wanting to focus on for the showboat class. You mentioned that you think Sasha is the best female showboat. So that race is basically Sasha, Charlotte, Paige, and I think isn't there a Hall of Fame Division
Yeah,
3 showboat? But I
yeah,
don't even want to talk about her.
yeah. Me either. Yeah, I'm no.
So
Wendy.
between yeah, Wendy. I actually really like Wendy.
She recycles, so and she's got the buff against strikers, and she's there's so you can. I mean, there's a bunch of times when I'll buff the multi gem and then break them and try and get a big pin against strikers. I've run her that way. So, but yeah, she recycles really well. She's Jeff in showboat form, so
Yep.
gem damage a little bit low, but she recycles really, really well. And
Yep.
if you took her to 4-star gold when she was free, like we did, um, great use of those tokens and stuff. She's certainly usable at the showboat position and solid.
Yeah, I mean before that event, I was going to take Paige up to 4-star gold, because that's who I would have made an argument for as far as the best female showboat, with her gear. So her gear is, what is it, plus, is it +4 to everything?
3.
+3 to everything. But I mean, yeah, with, if you were to use another MP trainer or with perks or something, I mean, you're talking about situations where sometimes all of her moves are ready turn one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Paige is really good. A couple different ways to use her. Either as someone more offensive where you target the gems that are going to get destroyed. I personally like the more defensive where you use the sub and you're setting more protect gems, and then you just wait patiently and don't turn them to cross breaks until you can literally blow up a bunch of them. He also has MP steal, so yeah, I really like Paige with the gear. Um, as avid button pressers, I would assume that, like myself, you also have the gear.
Yeah, she looks good as an elf.
Yeah. And then Charlotte. I mean, Charlotte's also, she's pretty solid. If you have the, if you still are getting the Shane, you're getting shards for her. So I mean, good use of something there. She recycles pretty well. Good move set. Has a sub for, um, kind of control. With females, it's kind of hard to run a female without a sub, unless you can really get the match done in like a turn or two. Because so many females now, I mean, the newer ones are coming out without subs, but so many of the other ones all have subs, and they're usually all low charge. So if you're not running a sub, you run the trouble of potentially getting into a longer match. The benefit, though, is that most people kind of overlook their female roster. So when you have a feud or something like that, it's pretty easy to kind of bully other rosters because they'll have maybe one 4-star female. And then if you go in there with multiple golds, suddenly, yeah, you're just kind of being a big bully.
Yeah.
So yeah, Wendy, especially if you're talking about, going up against someone that's lower than her, 4-star silver, 4-star bronze, I mean, she's going to make very quick work of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, females, they're not used much, but especially, I mean, when something comes around where you can get one to gold for free, Wendy, great. Stephanie, great. Bailey, better than both of them. Definitely don't turn your nose up to a free character because it could end up being one of the best characters on your roster.
Yeah, for sure. And especially with women, like we've talked about, they're not used a ton. And just the fact, like, my 3 4-star gold women that I have are all from the event token free because it's really hard to justify using those tokens when they're not such a huge part of the game. And that being said, Bailey, I love how Bailey plays. She's super fun. But yeah, I with women, I would say generally wait for when they come around in the free ones, level them up there. I mean, that's not to say if you have one of the amazing ones, I'm not saying don't level them up because you can. My Z page is still sitting at 4-star bronze. Most people would have her at 4-star gold, but it doesn't really matter, I've found.
Yeah, especially when you consider that that's potentially a very good male striker that you're not leveling because you're leveling her. Like, yes, she's probably the best female, but in terms of how much you're going to use her, like having another really good striker is going to be more beneficial than having, one of the top females. Unfortunately,
Yeah,
I
that
wish I could use I wish I could use Bailey against dudes. I don't think they can handle the belly to belly.
I I'm right there with you. Bailey's a freak of nature and super fun to play. I'm waiting for a male Bailey clone, to be perfectly honest. I would love that.
See, I would like a Bailey 2 belts, and I want to use her against everyone. Give me Bailey 2 belts.
All right, you can have her.
So, is there anything else, sir, that you feel you'd like to further discuss regarding showboats?
I think we've
Is there any character you wanted to highlight that maybe we didn't get to?
um
Obviously, we didn't discuss every single character, but trying to hit the main ones.
maybe some useful 5K trainer that we didn't cover. DDP for breaking yellows. Um, we talked about it not during Showboat, but ABA taker. If you're gonna run one of those finisher protect finishers. Big E is yellow gem damage. Or not yellow gem damage, I'm sorry, yellow move damage. So if you're using like Zombie Austin as a hot tag from Dango, he is a great trainer on Zombie Austin, so he might be worth 5K because your yellow moves are going to deal 45% more damage.
There's
And
Braun.
yeah,
Braun buffs the protect gems.
yes, he does. He does reduces the damage taken. So yeah, he makes your protect gems better. Although I think usually the math works out that Booker T is more beneficial, but
Yes.
maybe for some reason you don't have Harlem Heat or you were able to get Braun at a fuse or something.
Yeah. Hot tag scenario is probably where that's going to be more beneficial,
Yeah,
where you're not maybe using another one. So maybe you don't need an MP coach or something like that. So if you're going to use someone and you just have an extra spot to fill, you could do a lot worse.
right. Randy Orton is also yellow gem damage, so you could do him instead of Big E, and probably a better character as well. Cena is yellow gem damage, possibly on Andrade. I could see his yellow move. Maybe you're using it on the yellow set, so you know.
Speaking of how the math usually um, works better with making extra gems. Dusty, I don't know if we mentioned that.
Hmm.
So Dusty, his trainer ability is he also makes 2 extra protect gems. And then at 7,500, he also makes 2 extra yellow gems. So that's also a very interesting trainer to double up with Harlem Heat.
And I feel like at some point we're probably gonna see a character, and Dusty will be the absolute perfect trainer for them. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna see a new guy that comes out, and he's gonna make protect gems, and he's gonna make yellows. In fact, Dusty could be really good on Typhoon, where you can't decide if you want to make more yellows with the green or you want to make more protects. That's a possibility.
Yep. Yep. Solid wrestler. Very useful trainer. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think a 4 star, um, makes sense. You know, 4 star. Whether depending if you want to take him further, probably up to your gameplay style. But very solid card, I think.
Agreed.
So, I think that might wrap things up. Is there anything else that you want to discuss about showboats or about anything in general before we head off?
No, I think that does it for showboats for me. I would like to say that I'm gonna go grab a big red because they're delicious.
Did you leave without? Did you just leave me here alone?
No, I didn't leave you here alone.
Oh, okay. I got a little claustrophobic there.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to talk about Big Red because it's
All right.
delicious.
Yes, it really is. So to recap, I mean, we talked about the showboats, seemingly the ones that are going to be the best, are going to be Dango in a class by himself. Buffs, or not buffs, but fills up hot tags, can win on his own. He's just really super useful, makes everyone better. But if you don't have a Dango. I mean, we're talking about guys that can recycle, guys that are going to blow up the board. In the showboat world, we're talking about now people like Matt Hardy, people like Ultimate Warrior. Choose moves are again going to do a lot of gem damage, a lot of cluster, not clustering, cascading, refilling of your moves. People like Piper, etc. The downfall is that for showboats, they're not going to do a lot of gem damage. So I mean, ideally, um, if you could do similar, if you were blowing up huge chunks of the board, as long as you could do it quickly. So I mean, if it takes forever to charge your moves, it doesn't really help. So if you can do it fast, if you could blow up big chunks of the board, um, and if you can somehow get better damage than you get with showboats, that's going to be a pretty solid character. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, like, so let's just throw a belt on Warrior and put some Fury gem damage on it since he's blown up the board. Yeah, and then any character, of course, that blows up the board is great. I know Dango doesn't care what he fights for the most part. However, Akira has a class advantage, so I will avoid Ray, um, because I don't want to deal with that. Life's too short.
Yeah, so acros for sure can be dangerous. Um, so yeah, I mean, Dango isn't going to be affected by much people, but if you were to have an acro that hit fast, blew up a lot of the board, um, better damage than showboats, obviously that would be something that can potentially cause problems for a lot of people.
Yeah, I
Uh,
I usually avoid those kind of characters with Dango, just
yeah,
because you don't see many acros anyway. So,
yeah. So with that in mind, how do you feel about X-Pac?
oh, I attack him every time I see him with Dango. He doesn't care about X-Pac. He's trash.
On that bit of constantly further disappointing news, I think we just need to end this because you're losing credibility at this point.
I think so too. I think we've. I mean, I know I'm sick of talking to you. You're sick of talking to me. We covered a lot of good stuff in spite of our mutual dislike for each other. I think it was a pretty good show overall. So at this point, I will invite the one person still listening to like, subscribe, share. Remember that this show was brought to you by TWO and Big Red. It's delicious.
It really is.
And remember, we're always on the lookout for new sponsors. We're potentially hunting for Virginia Ham and the JYD, if you're listening.
So, on that note, guys, remember, relax. It's just a game. Have fun.